Okay, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the Great Philadelphia Comic Con would like to present to you Mr. Anson Mount. It's a huge room. I know. He was the kumbaya, you guys. I think your mic is on. Can you test it for me?
Hello, check.
There you go. There you go. And how you doing? And you're going to have a larger audience here in a sec because you're going to be Facebook Live on this as well. Just out of curiosity, this is a very strange question for anyone that's sitting in here right now who has never seen Star Trek Discovery. Whoops, there's one. That's okay. We'll bring you up to date, okay? How you do?
I'm good.
All right, if you guys have any questions to ask Anson, there's going to be a microphone right here at the edge of the stage, and you can start lining up behind that as soon as you feel that you need to. How you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you? I haven't heard acoustics like this since I was in a
Grand Canyon
test chamber at the Air Force Academy.
All righty, dude, this is perfect timing. Over the last 2 weeks, the last 2 episodes, if you guys, how many people have seen the last 2 episodes of Star? Who has not seen the last 2? Who hasn't? Oh, okay. Bear in mind, this will definitely be spoiler alert. You knew he was coming to this convention, so you should have expected that you're going to hear things you might not want to hear yet. Too bad. I'm so sorry. You are, no pun intended, hell on wheels.
Well, thank you, I think.
We really appreciate you, and you told me outside that Hell on Wheels was on for 6 seasons. I didn't know it was on basically for that long, but it was awesome. And you were, I'm not going to call you an anti-hero because you weren't really anti-hero. You were, in fact, the hero of Hell on Wheels.
Conflicted hero. Deeply flawed hero.
Right, conflicted hero. Who knows the other Star Trek connection that's in Hell on Wheels? Yes, sir. What do you think it is? It is Colm Meaney. If you didn't know, he was on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Colm Meaney played What's It Like to work with Colm, and did you guys even talk Star Trek? Were you contracted out to do Discovery while Hell on Wheels was still going on?
We also, well, there's yet another Star Trek Hell on Wheels connection. Our director of photography, Mr. Marvin Rush.
Oh, Marvin Rush, of course.
Shot a lot of The Next Generation, and then moved on with Colm to do their next show, which was they were Deep Space.
Yes, Deep Space Nine.
Mm-hmm. And God, they must have worked together for 15 years.
Did that help you get the Discovery role, though, knowing those folks?
No.
Okay, very good.
I just knew I was one of the things I was excited about is I knew that I was like, oh, I'm gonna get to hang out with Colm at random places around the world, which is just so cool. He's a fun guy. I mean, just full of incredible stories from the theater and from his early days in film, and lovely man, lovely family.
Location shooting for Hell on Wheels was in Canada, was it?
Yeah, in Alberta. We were operating out of Calgary. And I'm going to Calgary to the expo in a couple weeks, and that's where I met my wife. We have family there. I'm gonna do the parade. That sounds like fun.
Who's been to Calgary in this room? Anyone's ever been to Calgary? Okay. I haven't been. I think I know what he's talking about from YouTube, but yeah, that should be awesome. We're going to stay on Hell on Wheels just a little bit. I'm really anxious to move on to what everybody really wants to talk about, but let's go ahead and talk about his amazing career. Black Bolt in the Inhumans. How the hell did you audition for that?
I didn't. You can't audition that role. It would be impossible to audition that role. But I had spoken to the people at Marvel about a year before that. They had expressed an interest in doing something, they didn't know what. And then they called me about Black Bolt. I was immediately interested.
Were you familiar with the character?
Oh, there's only one other character that I would want to to play more, which is
You
Gambit.
knew of Black Bolt before it was even offered to you.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Black Bolt's, I mean, it's one of the coolest characters
Yes,
in
he is.
Marvel.
Yes, he is. How do you feel about being
And,
part
and
of the Marvel
the
universe?
challenge of doing a role where I don't speak was also a big part of it.
Yeah, and that's the part I was pretty much hindering on right there is the fact that, you know, it's all expressional acting, if that in fact
And the
is a
sign
term.
system
Yeah.
that I had to invent because it can't be standard sign language. So
Did you
it's not
st-
from Earth. So
Did
I
you
had to-
stand in the mirror and practice your
No,
emotional...
I worked in front of the computer on my camera because I had to send my homework to oh my God, my wife, Serinda Swan, who's playing Medusa, because she acted also as my translator. So she had to know what these things meant. And that was great because it really kept me honest about my homework, right? And but yeah, no, it was. I still have the entire file of signs.
Yeah, that's got to be really strange for people working up against you as they're reading the text. It's like, well, this is where Black Bolt shows anger, you know, on the screen or on the script.
Right. Yeah. And there was some give and take there with the writers because, you know, there were times when I'd be like, why? Okay, I can do. I see where you're going with this scene, and I see you're trying to help me. Please don't help me. Just write my dialogue, and let me do the role. And it was not easy. It was a steeper learning curve than I expected because, you know, people have been doing sign language their whole life. They do it without thinking. But to get yourself from going to a brain-mouth connection to a brain-hand connection it's a tricky thing. And you just have to get into the muscle memory of your body so that you can forget about it. Sort of like learning to ride a horse and act at the same time.
Do we have any signers in the audience? Is anyone who signs? No. Okay, cool. Well,
Thank God, no critics.
Well, you executed your role extremely well.
Thank you.
You were probably the most exciting character on Inhumans. It's too bad they didn't pick it up. I was really excited when I
Thanks.
heard that Inhumans was coming. In fact, being a part of the Marvel universe on screen, I was really excited about that. And you know, who knows? Maybe they'll revisit it again. And of course, no one obviously can play that role any better than what you've already shown us. So you'd be our
I think
first
it's rich
choice.
material still. I really do. It just needs to be gone about in a very particular way because it's sort of the weird gypsy band of Marvel. It's a different enclave of characters.
All right, here we go. Let's move on to Star Trek. And of course, this is a general question I've heard asked of many celebs who've been on the shows from moderators such as myself, and that is, were you a fan of Star Trek before you got the role?
Yes, very much.
And what was your favorite series?
I can tell you're tired of asking that question. The original went into syndication on my local UHF channel when I was about 7 or 8. And I actually can remember, I have the memory of my mother saying to me, you need to watch this show. Because she had seen it when it came out the first time. And I was like, why? And she's like, well, it's these people, and they're in this ship that can fly through space, and they go to all these different planets, and they meet all these different aliens, and they have these adventures. And I was like, I don't get it. You know, I was into like Andy Griffith.
Mom, you been drinking?
And then I got hooked, you know, every Sunday night at 6 o'clock. That was Star Trek. And so I've seen every episode of the original at least 3 times.
Ooh, okay, then here comes the third. What was your favorite episode?
Oh, of the original? Because my favorite episode of Star Trek is not in the original.
Ooh, keep going.
My favorite episode of the original, and I can't remember the title of it.
We'll know.
The race, when they encountered the race of people that were in a war because
they're black on one side and white on the other. For the
white
world is no. It's
that
not.
was so genius.
Let this be your last battlefield. Yes,
Thank you.
Frank Gorshin.
That and obviously the Gorn episode was wonderful. Just for the slow motion double axe handle to the back of the neck. I love that move. And
so you said it wasn't classic that was your favorite.
My favorite episode
series?
of any Star Trek series ever is The Inner Light. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think it's Patrick Stewart's favorite episode as well, I think, The Inner Light.
I don't think it's Jonathan Frakes.
No.
Because they got to take a vacation that week.
Yes, they did. Okay, The Inner Light, very
just
good.
Picard, pretty much.
Very good choice.
Except for the first scene and the last scene, right? If you don't know the episode I'm talking about, do yourself a favor and go check out this episode because it's extraordinary writing.
Great. Now, like I mentioned before, if you guys have questions that you'd like to ask, here's your opportunity to line up because this is kind of historic. Okay, it is his first convention appearance after those two kick-ass episodes and leading up to this week's finale. What better position can you be in right now?
This is my first convention since I've been on the air. Period. Yeah, I haven't been to any others but this.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Anson Mount's first convention appearance. How about that? You got to be
Well,
honored.
no, and I've been to conventions before, but not since we started airing the show.
Since you started airing the show,
right.
Got it, but it was for Hell on
So
Wheels,
now,
things
how
like
long
that.
is that sentence now?
Yeah, exactly. Shorten up. Let's go ahead and go to our first question here. Good morning, or I guess it's still morning. Good morning.
Yeah, it's
Hi.
morning. It's still early. Yeah. Hi, my name's Morgan, and I am certainly enjoying Discovery very much. And so I was curious, especially because you've grown up with Star Trek and the themes and ideas resonate with so many people, what is the biggest overarching theme or idea that has most resonated with you? And what have you learned more since being on the show that you didn't previously connect with just watching the show?
When you say over resonating theme, your first question basically the messages he was trying to convey in a series? Or?
Yeah, just like what messages, what themes stuck with you? What did you learn and take away from the show from either growing up watching it or acting in it?
I have this theory that if we could go back in time about 30 years and say to somebody, you know, in the future, there's going to be this thing called Twitter. And anybody who wants to can post, and immediately anybody else in the world who wants to can see it and respond. I think the average person would say, wow, we're really going to achieve peace and reconciliation then. I think that, you know, I was talking with Anthony Rapp on the set one day, and I sort of dabbled in some science fiction writing, and getting to know the community from that side. I'd been wondering, you know, there's quite a tie-in with the science fiction community and the LGBTQ community, and I asked him what he thought, why the reasons for that were, and he was like, oh, hope. You know, and I like that, and I get it. So I will give you Anthony's answer.
Yeah.
Hope.
Amen.
That's cool. You had a second. Did he cover the second question you had there too as well?
That was enough.
Okay.
I mean, I can't ask more, but
No, don't.
I'll
We're gonna.
I'll let other people ask. That was certainly very thorough. Thank you very much.
Yeah, let's try to limit it to one question, guys. That way we can get through you guys really quickly. Hi.
Hi. We have seen some amazing connections to what we know of Pike from the original series. Connections to the Cage, connections to Menagerie. What has it been like making those connections for you, and how have you prepared in order to... Can I just say that transition from the shot of Jeffrey Hunter that we saw at the beginning of the Talos 4 episode, transitioning into you, was just so emotional.
Yeah. Can I interject real quick on that? Like I said to you guys before, if you have not seen these last 2 episodes, you are going to get spoilers. I'm sure he's not going to spoil the season finale coming up this week, but if you haven't seen those 2 episodes, I am so sorry. Really am. All right, I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah, what's funny is that I didn't know we were going to do that because they had not come up with that idea until we were in post. So I didn't know. I was just starting the scene.
Yeah.
Right? And in terms of your question about preparing to play Pike, I didn't feel too much pressure, primarily because there was so little to go.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a character. I don't think there's a revered character in Star Trek that we knew so little about than Pike. But obviously, I did come into. There's one thing I really came into it with, which is, guys, how do we make this? And I'm not saying this was my idea, but I was very voluble about the fact that how do we figure out how to make Pike's future not a tragedy but a triumph, right? And outside of that, I was very much of the belief that I was hired to do second act Pike. We have first act Pike, we have third act Pike, we don't have second act Pike. And that's a different Pike. So all I needed to do was work with the given circumstances that the writers gave me and wing it.
I think it was a fantastic resolution to how Pike ended up that way, more in a heroic stance than just, was he in an accident? For those of us that remember classic Trek and the Menagerie in the Cage and things like that, I said, well, whoa, what happened? Because we only see that at the beginning of the story, and then it flashbacks to,
It's also an interesting thing to get asked to come in and flesh out the middle of a storyline. It's like being asked to we want you to walk this tightrope from the middle, and then how do you get on that rope? I enjoyed the challenge. That challenge.
I'm assuming you had some valuable input on how you wanted to portray that.
What's that?
I'm sure you had some valuable input into how you wanted to portray that scene.
Yes. Yeah. You're talking about the flash forward scene. I did. Not an easy scene, and so if I've learned one thing, I think I've learned to listen to the muse pretty well, and what the muse is indicating is the right way to go. And the muse was telling me a few things. One had to do with the response to seeing that we went back and forth on a bit, and another, but the more important one was the way that that flash forward was scripted originally was just from young Pike's point of view, and I immediately felt this is not right. This is not right, because there should be a point of view from future Pike as well. We should see what he's getting out of this, and so I asked Doug Arnikowski, our director, to go watch the final scene from 2001: A Space Odyssey, and so that camera language is quite heavily borrowed from that.
Yeah, because that future part did come back and explain to that character something beautiful is coming and things of that nature, and he was a future character of himself. So yeah, I get that. Are you cool? You good?
Yeah, I'm cool. That's a great answer.
It is a great answer. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you? You've done an excellent job as Pike.
Thanks.
Do you think that Pike has more story to tell before the tragedy? Assuming in the finale that's not when the accident happens. I'm assuming that's some years in the future.
Sure. When we did Hell on Wheels, and we were getting into like 1869, we had to call the network and go, guys, getting close to Utah. We can do this in a season, or we can do this in 2 seasons. But you need to let us know, because we got to write towards it. There's plenty to flesh out, I think, with a lot of these characters. I think, and in terms of the timeline, I think there's plenty of time as well. So I know what you're getting at.
Would you?
It would involve a lot of creative conversations.
Fair enough.
Thanks.
For those of you that hasn't seen, like I said before, these 2 episodes, I guess the best way I can describe it is that Star Trek Discovery has went full circle on Star Trek in general. Okay, basically full circle, much like Rogue One, the Star Wars movie, went full circle in that movie as well. Same thing happens here in these last 2, and hopefully this upcoming Thursday night episode, which you're not going to give us spoilers to anyway.
No. No, I'm not. I can't understand anything he's saying anyways.
And go.
Okay. Well, I think that the governor there just sort of stole my question in a roundabout way, which I know you can't answer anyway. But speaking from the fans, for the fans, we've all loved your performance as Pike, and would love to see, yes, I'll say it, a whole series of Pike with Spock and number 1 on the Enterprise. Like I said, I know you can't say, and you already sort of didn't say, but maybe you could beep once or beep twice. And that was really all I wanted to do.
I think I'd love to see that too, you know, but doing it is it's not an easy show to shoot, you know. This season we shot for 8 months for 14 episodes. I don't know how much you know about TV production, but that is a snail's pace. That is long. But no, I mean, I don't know anything that you don't. So
I think if you want to do the math, I think Star Trek: The Next Generation was shooting 8-day weeks or 8-day episodes, basically. And I think what was it, 22 maybe back during the day?
First episode of this season we shot for a little over 3 weeks, not including second unit pickups, which went on another week.
First episode alone?
First episode.
3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after that, we were minimum 10-day episodes and often went up to 12.
Right.
Which is, you just don't, you don't get that.
Okay.
Usually.
Real quick, Doug Jones, because I hope you're watching Doug right now. How many times have you been hugged by Doug Jones? Facebook Live.
Is Doug on?
I don't see him, but he probably is, because I haven't looked at
Facebook
everybody
Live?
popped up. Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. He probably is watching right now.
How many times have I been hugged by Doug Jones?
Yeah, I'm hoping he comments too.
Not enough.
Not enough. You people are aware of Doug's ability to make you feel all warm and fuzzy when you're in his presence? Yeah,
it's his superpower.
He is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Hi, ma'am. I love your shirt.
Thank you. So I saw you in December at Ticonderoga, and I was wondering if you had any kind of takeaway points of what it was like seeing the set that they've built there and being there for the weekend with Bill Shatner and stuff like that.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
That was so
Yeah, it's James Cawley's set,
yeah.
right?
You've been there?
Haven't been there yet, no.
It's cool.
I know Shatner. I know Bill's been there.
It's not just the bridge. It's the whole,
Right.
it's everything.
Yeah.
It was, and the sound. I didn't expect the sound
Yeah.
of the ship in there. It was wonderful, and the lighting. Those real vibrant primary color lights.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool. It wasn't as. I mean, I had when I was at Creation, I got to sit in the original captain's chair on that set, and that was I actually have a recording of it. I had a friend recording me saying to the camera, I'm about to get to do something that I've always wanted to do, and you're about to see me do it. And
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be very suave, and I sat in the original captain's chair, and you just watch me turn stupid. I'm just like.
Do you think you'll be going back there again for some event?
To Ticonderoga?
Yeah.
I'm sure I will at some
Okay,
point.
that
It's a
would be
beautiful
great.
place, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been there several
actually,
times.
if you've never been, it is really worth it to see that set and to spend some time in a really gorgeous part of the country.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the sets that you work on every day. I'm sure that it's all hard built, but is there any green screen areas that we may not be aware of because it just looks so seamless?
Oh man, we had our largest stage, stage 4. Half of that is all green screen. There's more green screen curtain than I've ever seen in my life. It is about the size of this part of the venue.
Yeah.
Is half of stage 4, and then we have 6 other stages.
6?
Yeah.
Wow. Total of 7 stages for
Yeah.
Star Trek Discovery. Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable experience. If
Yeah.
if you're not CBS All Access, you're going to need to get on that. Wow, it's well worth it.
It's the biggest production of anything I've ever done.
It sounds like it. Sounds like the biggest production of anything that's going on right now. Wow, I'm impressed.
It took me, I would say, the first. I don't think it was until like episode 4 that I really knew my way around.
Episode 4.
I mean, the whole place is a maze.
Yeah. Wow, amazing. My friend here, Caroline, who's on Facebook Live. Hello, Caroline, has a question for you, and I'm going to interject real quick on this. And this, of course, is a question that everyone's dying to know. Who is going to be the captain of the Discovery? I'll give you $20.
I have absolutely no idea. And if it's any consolation, I don't think the writers know yet either.
Well, I mean, you better hurry up, right? I mean, I guess we got. How long is your hiatus?
They go back. I was a 1-year contract, but they go back. I think in July. I want to say. I heard something about July. I'm not sure if that's.
Well, I'm sure word to get out, especially through, if you don't know, Anson's podcast.
They're shooting Picard right now.
They're shooting Picard on the same.
I believe they're
sets?
shooting Picard right. No,
not on the same sets, but they're
so.
working on Picard right now.
I don't even know where they are. They could be in Toronto. They could be in LA. I'm not sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. If you folks aren't aware of Anson's podcast that he does, who is aware of Anson's podcast? Have you been on his Twitter? You know his love of dogs and all that kind of stuff. Well, his podcast is called The Well, and he's had a number of guests. Doug's been on.
Doug was our most recent guest.
Yeah,
and
that was
before that, Ethan Peck, who plays Spock.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's sort of like, if you've ever listened to Radiolab, it's kind of like Radiolab, but instead about science, it's about creative thinking. So we've had, we try to have interview as many different kind of people as possible. So we've had not just actors and singers, but we've got a football coach, a Pulitzer Prize nominated biologist. We're cutting together an episode with Douglas Vakach right now, who's the head of METI. And if you don't know what METI is, he was at SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and then he founded METI, Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence. So they're sending radio packets to distinct, possibly inhabitable planets.
Cool beans. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead for our next question. Oh, wait a minute. Let me finish this. The Well is the podcast. It's a podcast about creativity and inspiration. Of course, Anson is the producer and the host. And you need to, you even have a email address on here. If you want to email these guys, I'm sure, do you look at those emails?
Some of them.
Got them. Okay. It's The Well Pod, P-O-D, P as in Paul, O-D. thewellpod@gmail.com, and the web address, of course, is thewellpod.com. So go ahead and visit Anson and see what he does there.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. Shoot.
All right. Well, first of all, these messages that they're sending out, I really hope they don't include certain tweets, because that'd be horrible. But actually, I want to talk about the Marvel Universe. Since you were Black Bolt, I'm hoping that doesn't keep them from, with the whole Disney getting back the rights of Fantastic Four. A lot of buzz has been online about how perfect you would be in the role of Reed Richards. Would that be something you'd be interested in if they went in that direction and said, and hopefully Black Bolt wouldn't disqualify you from taking that role?
I may have seen one or two things about that. Of course, it's a fantastic role.
No pun intended.
I mean, I don't know, because you're trying to get into executives' heads about what they might or might not want. I have no idea. And I don't know if they have any standing policy for an actor in one role cannot be an actor in another role. I don't know. But I've learned to kind of turn that stuff off, because it doesn't affect my life one way or the other by thinking about it. So when there's an open door, I take a look at it, decide whether or not I want to walk through.
Yeah,
But thanks for asking.
I hear their response a lot from actors. I guess, they wait until it falls in their lap, and then they'll decide whether, oh yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, but it'd be an amazing role. Yeah.
But in the eyes and the ears of the fans, who are always championing the causes of very well-known actors and pleasing actors and yada, 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 I'm sure Captain Pike having his own show is not without reason. Do you agree, folks? You'd like to see a Captain Pike series, I think, in the Star Trek universe? He's already a part of the Marvel universe. You can continue on what you're doing, because you were just absolutely fantastic in this role of Captain Pike. I love the uniform. Oh man, do I love the uniform. To hell with Kirk's tunic. Man, this is form-fitting, and what does that feel like?
You might like the uniform. I'm 46 over here, It's like, I eat something now.
Yeah,
It's there.
They sew you into it. Yeah, it's tight. It looks good, though. I know there's pain that you're going through, but it looks good. It looks good. Hi, what's up?
Hi there. So I was wondering, we've seen you on a Marvel show and a Star Trek show. If you could be on if you could play any role on a DC or Star Wars show, what would it be?
Oh boy. Star Wars is hard because it's the source material are the movies themselves, right? DC, I grew up a Green Lantern fan, and that project was in development for years, and they were just going from one. I think Adam Sandler was attached at one point. And I have no idea why they decided to make it a comedy. I really don't. That was a head scratcher for me. And I wish they would reboot it and take it seriously.
Maybe with you in the main role?
What's that?
Maybe with you in the main role.
I think it's more likely to be somebody who's 12 years old.
I want to touch a little on your Star Wars question to him, though. I can, in fact, see him as some mysterious Jedi master who comes out of the shadows.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
I'd love to be a baddie.
I think that's your role.
A baddie?
Nothing less than that. Oh, what?
A baddie?
Anyway.
From the dark side.
The dark side, yeah. That's what you want to be. And the most interesting roles are pretty much those of the enemy or the bad guy, so...
What's that?
And the most interesting roles are usually that of the bad guy.
Well, that's the thing about bad guys. You never have to wonder what their agenda is. There's no mystery.
That's true. It's like kill and destroy everything and let's move on.
Yeah, the hero has to we have to watch him make breakfast and shit. And then the actor playing him has to wonder, okay, why am I eating eggs?
Right. Right here. I don't want you to live. Thank you. Nice uniform, by the way. It's really nice. Hold your thought. You guys remember Charlie Brown? Wah, 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 wah. And go.
All right. Season 2 has been awesome so far. I've loved it.
Thank you.
One of my favorite moments was the scene where Tilly sang Space Oddity. So my question to you is, what song would you pick if someone had to drill into your skull?
Just in general or on the show?
Oh, you're a fan?
Let's do both. Let's do you personally, and what do you think that that Pike would pick?
Are you a fan of any genre of music right now? Tilly really goes back in the past. So does
I mean, I've stopped paying attention to most contemporary music. I'm at that age now.
Same here.
And I'm actively spiteful of modern country, or what's called country.
Yes.
I would have to go with something peaceful, and the Bach suites for cello come to mind. Or Chopin. I like Chopin.
Oh, excellent.
But for Pike, I mean, I don't know. I like to think maybe it would be Hank Williams.
Hank Williams.
Ramblin' Man.
Rambling Man.
Thank you.
That's cool.
Saturday, all day, if I just find it'll settle down if I tried. But when I'm on that open road, you'll have to understand. When the Lord made me, He made a rambling man.
Whoa!
Some folks might say
He's not done, folks.
that I'm no good. I wouldn't even settle down if I could. All right, that's enough.
Hey, did you sing anything on Hell on Wheels, or even when you weren't filming, or if you were?
No, I sang something on Star Trek, and they cut it.
Okay, explain that scene. Episode.
I
maybe
got
two?
the script for episode 2, and originally in that tent scene, when we're having fellowship, one of the ways we get into their good graces is they ask us to sing a song of I don't know,
Constant Sorrow.
a song of fellowship or something like that. It occurs to us that we're not from the planet, we don't know what they're talking about, and then I pull out this old church hymn I remember, and I don't normally sing at all, and so I demanded they get me a voice teacher, and I worked my butt off on this little thing, and actually managed to do a decent job, they said. And then for story reasons, they cut it.
Wow. Well, maybe we'll have something to look forward to when they do an extended version of anything on DVD. But that's impressive. That's impressive.
It was, what was it? It was Let Us Break Bread Together.
Let Us Break Bread, which is a spiritual hymn.
Yeah.
Yeah, Let Us Break Bread Together. Awesome. Wow, we're learning some things here, except season 4, but we'll get there. Anyway, hi.
Hi.
What's up?
I want to ask, do you have any stories on Hell on Wheels?
I do.
Like the outfits that you wore?
Say again?
Your outfits, your
The
wardrobe.
costumes, the wardrobe?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'll tell you one funny story. When I got the audition for Hell on Wheels, I was doing a play in Sag Harbor, and my buddy David Wilson Barnes and I were sharing a house, and he had demanded I bring my PlayStation 4 because he wanted to play Red Dead Redemption 1. Whoa. And we would just spend our days just taking turns trying to get through this world. And then I flew out to LA twice. They cast me, and then I flew out to do the pilot, and I went to do the costume test, and they took the photos, and they said, do you want to see? And I stood back, and I looked at the photos, and I was looking at John Marston.
Who?
John Marston.
No kidding.
The lead.
Yeah, the lead for,
from Red Dead Redemption. I was like, oh my Lord. That's weird.
Which we don't have here, right? I don't.
Yeah,
think
no,
he's
Rob.
with
He's
he
here.
is right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
I just met him
okay.
yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, that's freaky.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Man, what was your other question? You said,
And how was it working with the cast, like Colm Meaney?
yeah.
Great. I love those guys. Actually, all of those guys were phenomenal to work with. I really liked working with Common also. Mm-hmm. He became a good friend. Phil Burke was just texting me yesterday. You build a kind of family, and then you try to stay in touch.
Is there any talk on filming it anymore?
Of Hell on Wheels?
Continuation?
No, it's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Did you get all the photos or video? Yeah. All right. Hi.
Hi. I was wondering if you could tell us about filming a scene, the time you had the most fun filming a scene in Discovery. The most fun time filming a scene in Discovery. What was the most fun to shoot? Is there a particular scene, a particular
I think it was
day?
Tig's first day on set.
Oh,
Comes to mind.
she's incredible.
During episode one.
Yeah.
For some reason they had our cast chairs set up in the one of the corridors, and she happened to be, for some reason, she was sitting across from all the rest of us, and we'd been talking about, I don't know, food for some reason, different healthy snacks that we like to make for ourselves, and she was like, "Okay, this is the show," and we're like, "What?" And she was like, "This is the show I want to make. I go to different TV sets and I ask actors, what do they eat?" And we're like, "Oh yeah," and you can say, no, that's it.
That's the show.
And not cook, like raw. Do you like avocado? And she just had us rolling. You know, she has that thing about her that's just the ultimate underdog. And she's a lovely person too. She took me aside at the premiere and told me that she was sad that my dog had passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's a lovely lady. I like her a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. I wasn't going to touch on that.
Oh,
but
and then like during the last episode, we got into a runway competition. Oh
Lord, because you guys are doing.
And Doug won.
You're doing the dancing things on Twitter and musical numbers.
Doug won.
Doug won?
Yeah, I should post that video.
Yes, you should.
Yeah. All right, I'll post that video.
That's impressive. Well, that's good that you guys are having a lot of fun.
You hear that, Doug?
Come on, Doug, respond. Hi.
Hi again. So we've had a lot of discussion of religion and spirituality this season, which has really been amazing, especially comparing it to technology and the future.
Yeah.
There's also been a lot of discussion online about what exactly is Pike's faith. Is Pike spiritual? Is he religious? What is your take on Pike's beliefs?
Yeah, there are things I know about a character, and there are things that I suspect. So I'm as much an authority as you, or anyone else. But I suspect, Pike's from Mojave. He's a horse guy. I think he had good parents, and yeah, I think he grew up going to church. But I think he's. I don't know what denomination, but I'm Episcopalian, and I have a feeling that his relationship with religion and faith is a deeply personal one, and he's not. I think he's probably the farthest thing from an evangelical that there is. And yeah, I think he's like me in the sense that the more I learn about science and the sheer vastness and mystery of the universe and quantum physics, the more faithful I become, the more faith that I have that this didn't just happen. And we're seeing a very thin sliver of what actually is.
All right, we're going to stop the questioning on this end because we're going to wrap this up. So I just basically wanted to say there are two very good, beyond very good science fiction series that are on television right now. One being The Expanse, which I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah.
Okay, you better do the same response after I say the next thing too, okay? And Star Trek Discovery. I honestly believe that all of the Star Trek series from beginning to where we are now has just advanced to actually respect our intelligence in terms of what we see on the screen. And Star Trek Discovery, once season 1 was okay for most, was okay for many, but then when it broke into season 2, and your appearance, you just broke all the hinges off the doors. I mean, we hear all the girls go, "Oh my God, he's so pretty." I just like the way you command a ship. Okay, I just like the way you handle your crew. You command a ship. Yes, you are pretty too, but either way, I think you do an absolutely fabulous job. Everything you've done from Hell on Wheels to Inhumans up until now, Star Trek Discovery, and we really want to see a hell of a lot more of you. And depending on what happens next Thursday night, I'm sure there's going to be an absolutely huge letter writing or email writing campaign that's going to be initiated on Friday morning. Okay, just so you show. So I guess my last question is what is your experience, your honest thoughts of the fans that you have encountered so far in your experiences with you being known as Captain Pike?
Oh, it's been fantastic. You know, the Star Trek fan, there really is a difference. I can say with authority, there is a general difference between Star Trek fans and all other fans. And a lot of it has to do, I think, with conventions like this and the practice of coming together to have a communal experience and to share in our joy, in our nerddom, and the gratitude that I have received, and I can only give back. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm humbled to be playing the role, and I'm humbled to meet each one of you, and thank you for having me in your home.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Philadelphia Comic-Con would like to present to you, from Star Trek Discovery, Mr. Anson Mount!
Thanks for watching all the way to the end. You can subscribe here to subscribe to the channel. There's more videos off to the left. Mr. J says don't forget to ring that bell button for more notifications.